Mrs. Clinton refuses to share a stage with Sarah Palin because she understands that she is no match for Sarah Palin. The mystery isn't why any woman, any feminist, any person of intelligence and compassion would vote for Sarah Palin. It is why she would vote for Hillary Clinton. Why do I say this? Consider. She is not simply married to an abuser of women. She is an abuser of women in her own right. Carl Bernstein warns us, quote, "There's not a sex act mentioned in my book. What is important is Hillary savaging the women." Close quote. You can hear him issue this warning in the YouTube video, From Carl Bernstein to the Broderick Rape, Connecting the Dots. You can see the two Broderick interviews, the Dateline NBC Clinton rape interview by Lisa Myers and the interview in which Broderick details the threat by Hillary Clinton 2 weeks after the rape, at deletehillary.com/rape.
I was trying to protect you and Chelsea. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
She said she had no idea her old man was running around on her.
Hillary Clinton is also an abuser of power. Go to deletehillary.com/The Barrett Report to see January 31, 2007 expose by Mark Goodman, a registered Democrat and avowed liberal. Note especially Goodman's warning in the final paragraph. Quote, "Now that the senator from New York has announced, I'm in to win, voters should demand that their representatives release the mystery pages so that they may examine Mrs. Clinton red in tooth. Otherwise, Americans run the risk of going to the polls in 2008, seeking the rebirth of a nation, only to discover that they have merely traded the devil for a witch." Close quote. The Barrett Report documents the Clintons' massive abuses of power, which includes the routine seeking of the IRS, Soviet style, on all Clinton critics. And do not miss the irony here. The evidence documenting these massive Clinton abuses of power was redacted by more massive Clinton abuses of power. Also read Democrat Jerry Zeifman, who is Hillary Rodham's boss during the Nixon impeachment proceedings. He alerts us to her fundamental lack of ethics, why he could never recommend her for, quote, any position of public or private trust. Close quote. And Hillary Clinton is inept. Clinton administration veteran and Berkeley economist Bradford DeLong warns, quote, "My 2 cents worth, and I think it is the 2 cents worth, of everybody who worked for the Clinton administration healthcare reform effort of 1993 to 1994, is that Hillary Rodham Clinton needs to be kept very far away from the White House for the rest of her life. Heading up healthcare reform was the only major administrative job she has ever tried to do, and she was a complete flop at it. She had neither the grasp of policy substance, the managerial skills, nor the political smarts, to do the job she was then given. And she wasn't smart enough to realize that she was in over her head, and had to get out of the healthcare czar role quickly. There is no reason to think she would be anything but an abysmal president."
You're going to have to
Close
decide who you want to
quote.
lead this
Also note that this self-described brilliant woman flunked the DC bar exam, which had a 67% pass rate. See the Bernstein book on this. Indeed, see her own turgid tome. Not the audio version, however. Perhaps the Clinton machine thinking is that literacy and gullibility are inversely related. She did, however, pass the Arkansas bar exam, 80 to 90% pass rate, and the rest is history, albeit revisionist. Just as she flunked the DC bar exam, flunked the only managerial job she ever had, heading healthcare reform, Mrs. Clinton flunked her only real vetting in the campaign to date, the Philly debate. An empty pantsuit but for the arrogance and hate. If 9/11 taught us anything, it is that presidential character and moral authority count, and count most. Bill Clinton, who, for self-serving reasons ignored terrorism for his entire tenure, see YouTube, virtual kill. Also see deletehillary.com/terrorism. Was rated by 90 historians and presidential scholars in the C-SPAN poll of presidents. Dead last in moral authority, lower than Nixon. If the variables are properly weighted, Bill Clinton will always come out dead last. That is, unless Americans are dumb enough to make the same mistake twice.
And our children.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Vote smart. The power of the harasser, the abuser, the rapist depends above all on the silence of women. Ursula K. Le Guin.